So now that you've got all of those sections done from beforehand, we're going to go into Mission Planner, and your aircraft should already be plugged into your computer and ready to go. So like we're going to do, we're going to go up and go to the channel 9 up here, and then connect the aircraft. Once it connects, then we'll look over at the top left. Click out of this. We'll look over in the top left with the horizontal horizon or artificial horizon, and make sure that when we move our drone that is moving as well, and then we know that we've assembled it correctly. So since you can see it's moving, that's what we want to see. So then we'll go on to our next step, is up to configuration. And then we'll go over to the full parameter list. This is where we're going to be kind of setting up everything for the drone and making sure that everything is correct that way. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over to the search bar over here on the far right and search up serial. And then if you scroll down a little bit to serial 3, and we're going to go to protocol. Right there. Yep. So serial 3 protocol. Then we're going to change that number in the value section to 23. Yours previously is probably 5, but we're going to change it to 23. And then we're going to go up and write parameters. So make sure that every time when you change a number in here, you hit write parameters so that we get that written into the program. Then we're going to go down to serial 7 and go to protocol. And it was 23, and we're going to change it to -1. And again, write parameters. Then after that, we're going to search AHRS orientation. So AHRS in the search bar, and go down and find the orientation. Now previously yours should say 0, and we're going to change ours to 8. And this kind of helps you to rotate the flight controller in space to be right side up. So the way that we did it makes it right side up with this number. So we're going to hit write parameters again after that. Now in the search bar again, like I said, we're going to do a lot of configurations right now. So we're going to go to compass, compass enable. So if we compass use first, sorry. So we're not going to be using a compass, so we'll go and set that to 0, write parameters, and then click OK. So that's kind of what it looks like. I hadn't previously done that to mine, so that's what it'll look like when you do change the parameters. And then what you want to do is save this to a file. You want to save it so that later you can come back and use that file and not lose all of your setup, and you can move it from drone to drone and program to program that way. So now what we're going to do is go into our setup. Then we're going to go into the install firmware, the mandatory hard drive, I'm going to open up these others just to kind of show you what's going to be in them as well. But right now we're going to be in the mandatory hard drive. So we're going to start out with the frame type. So the first one right here, that's the quadcopter. We're going to choose that. Then we're doing the X. So we'll click on the second one and make sure that it's correct in this setup. Now we'll go on to the calibration. So with this calibration, you'll want to follow what it says on the calibration, and once you hit that, and you'll have to move your drone onto different sides and just follow what it says that way. So you can go ahead and pause this video and do that if you need to. So we're going to skip the compass calibration and go over to the radio calibration. So what you'll want to do is where it says click when done, you'll click that, and then you'll kind of move your the sticks on your controller. Make sure your controller is turned on and your drone is turned on as well, and plugged in, and then you'll want to move those sticks around to make sure that your controller is set up correctly and moving around on the different pitches there. And once you set it up, it'll have the min maxes for everything with that. So now you'll go to the failsafe option. In the battery area, you'll make sure that it's land once it gets low. So yeah, battery, land in this section. So this is all the different options you have, but we want to do land. And with the radio, we also want to enable always land. Just in case if something goes wrong or anything like that, it will land and not just fly away on us. Now I want to go back to configuration, and we're going to do a little bit more. So like before, configuration, the full parameter list, and then we're going to go over to the search bar and search MOT, and then it'll be MOT-PWM-type is kind of what we're looking for. So, oh, I spelled it wrong. So, MOT, PWM, type. And we're going to change that to 6. Make sure it's 6 in that section. And like I said, write parameters. Please do not forget to write parameters or it will not work. After that, we're going to go over to servo. It will be our servo D-shot is what we're looking for. ESC. So servo D-shot ESC. And we're going to change that number to a 2. Yep. Change it to a 2 and write parameters. Now we're going to go up to servo BLH auto, which is right here, and we're going to change that to a 1. We want to enable that. And then write parameters. Now what we'll want to do is do a complete reboot of our copter. So we'll want to disconnect, unplug it, unplug everything, and make sure that it is ready to go for the next step. So go ahead and pause the video, take the time that you need to disconnect that and do what you need for the reboot. Alrighty, now that you've reset your drone, what we're going to do is reconnect it, like I showed you before. Then we're going to go to setup. So we're going to set up all the different ESCs and motors, make sure they're moving the right way and in the correct way that we want them to. So we'll go into the mandatory hardware, ESC configuration, servo output is what it should be. Sorry, I accidentally clicked the wrong one. So let it load a little bit. There we go. So this is how mine was set up. Not everybody's is going to be the same, but what we're going to do is change the first one to motor 1, and then we're going to disable the rest of them. So we're going to have to kind of jump back and forth between them to make sure that we get it right, in the right orientation. So then we'll go to optional hardware and go down to motor test. So we're going to click on each one of these test motors and see if they move. So when I hit motor test A, one of the motors should move. And when I do, that is motor 4 that is moving. And that's not what I want. So I'll have to kind of go back and forth between those two pages and make sure that it goes, when I hit A, it goes 1. When I hit B, motor B, it goes to 4. When I hit C, it goes to motor 2. And then when I hit D, it goes to motor 3. So it's kind of that counterclockwise rotation. And you have to make sure you have it in this orientation as well, or else you won't get it right. So you'll have to go back and forth. You'll have to change each of the motors, disable them, set it to motor 1, motor 2, and different things like that to make sure that you get it into the right spot. So like I said, that it goes in that counterclockwise orientation when you hit A, B, C, D. You can also test all the motors. I suggest not doing this with propellers on. I did it just to demonstrate that you can really see it, but please don't do it with propellers. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to escconfiguration.com, this website, and we're going to connect our drone to this one. So we're going to have to disconnect to our mission planner, and we're going to try to reconnect to the ESC configuration area. So maybe I can get it to load. So as you can see, I made the mistake as well of not disconnecting it from Mission Planner. So this is me trying to figure out what I was doing. And finally I got it connected. So yeah, so this is what it should look like when you first pull it up. Wants you to turn off the radio, wants you to make sure everything's set up that way. One thing that I would suggest doing is while going through this and also testing the motors, make sure they're spinning the right way. If they're not spinning the right way, you'll have to disconnect those or change those, at least 2 of the 3 connections to the motors. That's what I did. It was the easiest way to do it, instead of changing it in the program here. You can change it in the program here, but I'm not going to be showing that today. So make sure you go ahead and change those, at least, like I said, 2 of those wires that connect to the motor, and then reconnect them afterwards to make sure that we get it right, moving in the right way. So gotta wait for a little bit while it loads. So you kind of have to be patient with this one. It does take a little bit of time for it to load. if you do have any questions about this, you can look at the, or any questions of programming at all, you can look up at the worksheet that was given to us to um, finish and configure all of the motors and things like that on the paper that was sent in class. So, there we go. So this is what should pull up. It should pull up all 4 of the ESCs, and it should kind of look like this, maybe a little bit different. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up the ESC to the right program. So yeah, like I said, you could go from normal to reverse, different things like that. That'll change the direction of the motor so that you wouldn't have to change the wires. But I just changed the wires and kept these all to normal. It's not that I was actually lucky that they all got to normal. I just changed them myself. So what we're going to do is, once we get it right, we're going to flash all ESCs. Then we're going to go up to here and do the Blue Jay. Make sure that the QH30, we're just going to leave it how it is, that section. Go to the version, the newest version of that. And then we're going to select our frequency to 24. And then we're going to flash. And that should download it to the motors and different things like that, the ESCs, to get it right. So once you go back to this main page, you should have Blue Jay on all of your ESC sections, and then you can go through and, like I said, change the forward to backwards, make sure the directions are correct, and then write settings after that. So now we're going to disconnect from there and try to connect again to Mission Planner. Alright, so once we have everything disconnected, we're going to reconnect everything to Mission Planner. And we're going to go up to our configurations. And then the full list parameter, or full parameter list. Then we're going to search up RC2, RC2. Go down and make sure that is set to 1 so that we have it in the correct orientation that way. Also, while we are going through, if you did set up the channel 5, you can go through and set that up by going to RC5 option and writing 135, and then the FTL mode dash channel, and set it to 8 and write parameters for those if you need to change it. And then depending upon your cell battery, you could go to the setup, mandatory hardware like I'm doing right now, initial tune parameters, and change the battery cell count to where that needs to be, and then calculate the parameters and set it that way. That's easy if you're changing from different batteries and things like that. Then you can really get it how you want it. So once you have all that set up, if you have any problems with that, just go ahead and reach out. And I'm going to reset this to 4. But once you're done, what you'll do is you can go back to just the regular data, um, flip your switch, yep, up here. So if you did set up that channel 5, you should be able to flip that switch and see it um, arm, go from disarmed to armed. And that means you did it correctly, and the motor should start to spin after a little bit. So good luck with your future flights. Have any questions, go ahead and reach out. Thanks.